your message, sis? Here, check it out. These are all the spices all out for dinner. Pot for noodles getting there. Got to start this. The deer. A little fat, a little tallow. It'll be good. I'll be over there in about 45 minutes. Good evening, everybody. I have a request for deer and noodles, so I thought I would show y'all how I make my deer and noodles. I kind of just scratched it together one day and everybody was like, woohoo! So I try to make it pretty regularly now. See how I do it. See, maybe you might want to try it. Okay, this is my first real kind of set up kitchen cooking shot. I'm going to be making everybody's favorite tonight, deer and noodles. Everybody that's had deer and noodles from me has been very happy about it. Or so they said. So tonight we have some new friends. Hi, Toby and Molly. I am bringing deer and noodles over to their house, which is just a quarter mile away, by the way the crow flies. Driving, it's 2.5 miles. It's still exciting. I'm not sure if either of them have had deer before. If they have, I'm not sure they've liked it. First things first, we got the water heating up. I'm just going to be using some basic elbow noodles. I frequently have these around. They're sort of generic. I like to keep them. I like to keep this container up here. You may not be in the shop, but just one of these square containers. Bowl of macaroni I can just scoop out and use as I need. But here's some basic generic macaroni that we don't like the sauce for, but those are good noodles, y'all, in there. So I'm going to cook up these generic elbow macaroni noodles, none of the cheese, but that water's not quite boiling yet. So I'll set those over there because this is hot and ready to go, and I don't want to burn the deer when we get it in. Deer, as you know, or may not know, does not have very much fat in it. And so we are always real certain to add plenty of butter, lard, or tallow whenever we cook up our deer meat. This might need to drain a little bit. Let me get that going. And this tallow definitely needs to gotten into this pan. Just drain this real quick if there's anything to drain out of it. Not really anything to speak of. So let me get that open and ready to go. Like this. Just gonna cut this package open. Got this from Deer Processor. Or it was a gift. We've had a lot of deer gifted to us by our neighbors. You know who you are. We love you. Thank you. And Doug occasionally gets his own deer, and we process that. Hopefully we'll get to show that here later in the season. It is doe season. He's expecting to hunt. Okay, things are ready to roll here. So I'm going to get this lid off very carefully. Always open it away from you, of course. Let it drip for a second. Salt that water, y'all. I'll be responsible since I'm on camera, but a lot of water takes a lot of salt. There we go. Don't be afraid because it rinses right out. And let's get our generic macaroni noodles in this water. I've already emptied them from I've already emptied out these little cheese pouches. They go in the trash. Got a fresh new package of tallow here. You break into it. Turn the heat off of this for now because it's a little too hot while I fiddled around. Now it's time to rock and roll. Last one of these I tried to open. This one's much more cooperative. Alrighty. Excuse me, I wipe my nose, and I want to cook the deer with one of my favorites. tools made by Doug's grandpa right here on this property. He bought this property in 1975, I think, the year I was born. All right. Just scoop out some of this tallow. It's a little firmer than butter. You'll see. But it's nice. It blends a nice richness. I'm not going to say it's any healthier than butter because I'm sure it's not. I need to stir my noodles and get that lid back on maybe. I was just ready to get some of this meat going so it didn't fall behind. Yeah, that was still good hot. Get these noodles stirred before they stick to my colander I'm cooking them in there with. Alright, I might not need to put the lid back on. Maybe not. Yeah, it seems like it's going to boil up just fine. Alright, so that's good. Let's get the fire back on under this one. Alright, but not that high. Nice and medium low. Alright, that tallow is all melted in there, and I've got deer meat. In it goes. It will spit on you. So be careful, of course. And, tonight I'm just keeping it a little easy. I'm not chopping a lot of vegetables. I'm a little under the weather. But we still gotta eat, eh? And Doug's been bragging on me. Got my cooking abilities. With the venison especially. As soon as we get that deer in and sort of broken up, it's really nice and tender deer. Awesome. That should be yummy. No gamey flavor. No scent o' buck. Makes me happy. Alright, so in the name of keeping it simple, I'm going to grab my chopped dried onions. Make sure that heats up where it needs to be. Yep. Chopped dried onions, and they're getting to the point where they don't want to come through the holes in the lid anymore. So just generous. I have found that deer just really takes seasonings and spices and anything you really want to throw at it. So I throw it all at it. But these onions take the longest to sort of rehydrate and plump up, so I always get these in first if I'm using them. Just like I would with fresh onion, I'd always put it in first. I'll mix it around, make sure some of those deer juices can get into those onion bits. I do love this spatula, but it might be kind of loud for filming. We'll see. Try not to clang it around everywhere. And now I'll just start with the other seasonings because we shouldn't have to drain this, not like ground beef where I'm going to have to get all that extra fat out. We actually have to add fat for there to be enough fat. And then we're just going to add cream of mushroom soup, except, well, it's what I would normally use, except I don't actually have cream of mushroom soup. So I'm going to be adding chicken broth and evaporated milk. Just because I don't want to use up what's left of my powdered milk, which I prefer. I do love, love, love powdered milk. So this will be part of our sauce, this evaporated milk. So, but I'm glad this isn't just sizzling away crazy because I got a lot of different spices to put in, y'all. All right, let's see here. For salt, I'm going to use some Lowry's. It's pretty generous. And set these aside after I use them so I don't get mixed up. And garlic, which hopefully there's some broken up in here. Yeah, garlic powder. I have fresh garlic I could cut up and put in here, but Deer really just holds up really well to the strength and condensed flavors of dried seasoning. So I got them, and I'm trying to be a little easy on myself, so there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Just bust out those dry seasonings and go to town. Although I do have some fresh dried seasonings for the end that we grew here on the property, so that's always something I try to include. Oh, come on. I'm going to have to grind up some onion. Let me get a fork. So it's ground up because it likes to get all stuck together. I don't use it that often because I do prefer fresh onion and garlic. So this gets a little clumpy. Sure, some of you can relate. Alright. This is our onion powder, even though we have onion slices, dried onion bits in there. I never have enough onion, It's not actually very much. I might end up adding more, but we'll just go with it for now. And also some lemon pepper, which has celery seed in it and a few different things. And I do like the brightness that this kind of brings out because it's a rich dish. All right. A little oregano because we got it and it loves it. Not too much. This isn't an Italian dish. Although I am adding some fennel now, but it's just because everybody here loves it so much. And why not? Thyme. Strong stuff. Try not to use too much of it. And some rubbed Dalmatian sage. I think the sage is like 10 years old in my pantry. I'm not ashamed to admit. Because it still smells wonderful and I still use it. Even more now that I cook deer regularly. Oops. And, just a little nutmeg to make people say, what is that? And some smoked paprika. And since they're such, we can't forget our black pepper. I have plenty of cracked black pepper in there, everybody. And but what I was talking about before, but got distracted by the black pepper. This is rosemary that we grew this year and dried. We lost the plant though. I stink at getting rosemary plants to survive the winter, so it's a skill I'm working on. But I'm just going to take some of this dried rosemary. I'm going to crunch it up because they are just whole leaves. I didn't do anything to them. I just dried them and put them in a bag. So I'm just going to crunch them up and I'm just going to get them all in there. Save the rest for later. And our basil, it's sweet basil, so I like to put it in towards the end. Okay, and that's all the seasonings for now. We just need to get this meat browned off. Let these seasonings meld a little bit. Get my towel off the floor. Gross. Put it in my pocket. Won't fall out of that. Everything well incorporated. Some of those seasonings didn't get all over everything, so just try to share that love. Sorry, that's so clangy. Grandpa, I love your spatula, but it's heavy and awesome. It's loud in my pan. Might switch over to a different utensil, help with our audio. Alright, well, I'm just going to give the noodles one more stir, and then this is going to be my new spoon. Yeah. All those bits of venison broken up. This really comes together so easy. Make sure we get all that pink out and get everything nice and brown. It's not too dry, not too fatty. It's looking good. It's starting to smell good in here, everybody. Ah, yes. All right, it is time to make up a little broth. Some warm water, probably a couple of cups will do us. Yes, we got a couple of cups of warmish water. Not really, actually. Hold on. Let's get some warm water. There we go. Okay, 2 cups of warm water. Let's put in a couple tablespoons. I usually just eyeball these things. A couple tablespoons will probably get us there. Let's see if there are any instructions. Nope. Nope. I'll just take a handy dandy teaspoon, tablespoon, mix it in with this water here, and I'll just mix that, and if it looks good, I'll go with it. If it doesn't look good or taste good, then I will add some more of that chicken stock concentrate. It's even kind of green. There's parsley in there. This is from a Deer Standard. If you haven't checked out a Deer market for bulk items of very high quality delivered to your town or a town nearby, very good. Don't want it to be too salty. All right, but before I put that in, let me stir this around one more time. Let me stir this too. Check these, make sure I'm not overcooking them, which I probably am. Yeah, I'll cut that off. Yes, I got those out. Just turn that off just in time because I don't like smooshy noodles. All right. Oh, right. Let me stir this. Take my glasses off so I can see up close. Make sure there's no pink left. Everybody knows how to brown meat. It's exactly the same with venison. Cooking ground venison is the same as cooking ground beef or ground chicken or ground turkey. Just make sure it's cooked all the way through before you go on to the next step. All right, that looks really, really good. And since I don't have cream of mushroom soup, that's why, well, cream of chicken would be good too. But yeah, if you have flour, milk, and butter, or fat and flour and milk, you don't need cream of anything soup. You just make it yourself. So, what goes in next? I wonder if I do want to put a little thickener in there. Hold on. I don't think we'll need it. as soon as I say that, we're going to end up with a runny sauce. So we have some meat with some fat. My friend Sarah taught me this. It doesn't have to be just rolling in fat. You don't have to make a special roux. Just sprinkle some flour on top of your meat that's been cooking in fat and stir it around for a couple minutes so it doesn't taste like flour anymore. It'll cook it and have a nice, rich, nutty flavor. And when we add our liquids to it, it'll thicken right up. Then I'm going to finish it off with cream cheese and noodles, of course. Oh, I need to drain these noodles out because they are continuing to cook. In the meantime, this flour can be getting cooked down. Kind of going everywhere at once, everybody. First, let me just get all this flour cooked on in. You want to stir it around until there's no white flour left. And that would mean that every bit of flour in there has absorbed some of that fat from the tallow that I put in there. And it's gotten really dry now. It is ready, almost ready for our liquid. Just let that flour cook for a second so it doesn't get that uncooked flour flavor in your meal. All right. All right, next step is adding our chicken broth and a little bit of evaporated milk into our venison. Still has this heat on. Let me see if this flour definitely looks all cooked. Well, I'm going to have to add some more fat quickly if I don't get this liquid in here. It'll start burning. All right, let's get that in there. Stir around, unstick the flavor that's stuck to the bottom of this pan. Deglazing, y'all. So that thickens right up. I should probably already have my evaporated milk open and ready to go, but I'm just going to give it a good shake. It's half the time I forget to and regret it. Yeah, that's good. I think 2 cups was the right amount. I think that was 1 pound of venison ground. No seasonings added. It was added to it. It was just plain. All right, now let me get a couple of holes punched in this. Ew, come on, back over here. It's hard for me to see up close with my glasses on. Isn't that sad? But I guess if you're gonna do one way or the other, I'd rather be able to see my fingernails with my glasses off than have to wear glasses to see my fingernails. So I'm pretty grateful. So yeah, let's just pour some of this in here, give it some richness, and put about half that can in there and see what that's like, because it is condensed, of course. So it's not just like adding milk, although of course you can do that, but I would just cook it down for a minute, which get it thickened up. Let's see here. Yeah. That looks just right. So I'm going to get this block of cream cheese out. Maybe I should just take my glasses off. That's what I usually do when I'm in the kitchen. I have my apron with my pocket. All right, well, I'm thinking about it. Get our noodles drained, or at least set up and draining like that. That's perfect. And if we need any more liquid for this, we could always add more evaporated milk. Although it's kind of rich and kind of expensive too. Adding a little pasta water. If this gets too thick, I'll just put a ladle of hot pasta water in there, and it'll bring it all together, help it thicken up, and be really delicious. All right, I'm going to put this whole block of cream cheese in here. I know that sounds kind of crazy. I've made this recipe a number of times now. Everybody seems to love it. All right, hopefully this time they will too. All right, let's get this cream cheese broken up in here. Keep stirring the bottom, make sure nothing's burning, nothing's sticking, while we're working on getting this cream cheese incorporated. All right. And just stir it around and get it melted in. It's a good temperature. All this dairy in there can stick to the bottom really fast with that flour too. It takes a couple minutes to stir, and I'll get back with you when it's ready to add the noodles. Since I'm gonna be driving this over to the neighbor's house, I am going to actually combine it. I would normally just add these noodles here. Instead, I'm going to put both these noodles and this sauce into this pot, which currently has the noodle water in it. This sauce came together very nicely. The cheese is all about melted into it. And I might go ahead and add the basil in at this point. Yes, anything else you want to stir in, it's best to do it before the noodles go in, because you'll just break them up. This is fresh grown sweet basil from our property. It's not quite all broken up, so I just rub it between my hands, which really smells good and releases a lot of good flavors. Also, at this point, I'm going to mix in some dried parsley. Just gives it that little fancy something that makes me feel like I've done something special. All right, once those last more delicate herbs that don't need as much cooking time are all incorporated here, so they can be doing their part, I'm gonna cut the heat off of this. The heat's already off over here, so I'm gonna set these noodles. They've been draining for quite a minute, so I'm just gonna set them someplace they can't do any harm. I'm gonna get rid of this noodle water. Okay, so back into here to our cooked macaroni noodles. And gently coax them out of this strainer and into the big pot. It has no heat under it. will give us a nice deep pot that won't spill when I carry it next door. Now, we add our sauce to this. I'm going to give it a good stir before I start trying to pour it out. I got to think if I want to pour it or ladle it. How brave am I feeling? Be brave. Let's see. How hot is this? Not hot. How hot is that? Very hot. Okay. All right. So let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Okay, here we go. Pouring the sauce into the noodles. I think this will be just fine. It's a nice big pot I'm pouring into. Let me get this. Actually, let me get my favorite tool. Just happens to be right here. Love it. Look at that. Look how clean that comes. I love this scraper. Silicone. It's lasted me a long time. It was a Christmas gift from my mom, I think. Thank you, Mom. She won't eat deer either. Can't blame her. It's not for everyone. But mine doesn't have any gaminess to it that I can detect. But maybe I'm just getting used to it. Alright. That's my deer and noodles. See how fast that came together? It doesn't taste like it. Get my antique flour cup put away. And my flour closed up. And a little extra parsley on top because it looks so nice. Yeah. And I suppose I should taste it. What did I scoop with that? I don't remember. I'm not going to use it. Let me get a fresh spoon. I'll get my tasting spoon out. Ta-da! I am not ashamed of that. You know, it doesn't look like much. Looks like hamburger helper. It doesn't taste like it. That's good. Herbal, spicy, rich, cheesy, creamy. Mmm. And I give it a shot. Now it's time for me to get cleaned up, my face wiped off because I'm sweating in the kitchen. Head over to Molly and Toby's. See what they think of it. Thanks for following along, you all. And I'll catch you on the next one.